Welcome to the Bookies Plus weekly betting show where you'll get free NFL picks for week 11 from our gambling experts. Remember, you can also get these free picks anytime and plenty more free picks. Bookies.com/picks. Bookmark that free account, set that up. Bookies.com/picks. Not just NFL picks, but we have you covered for about any sport you like to wager on. Don't forget, every week we're back with a new episode of this show. This week we'll have picks from Bill Speros, the senior betting analyst, bookies.com, and Williams College, I see there. Next, we have Adam, the ATM, Thompson, one of the nation's leading handicappers, always over 60% in his NFL picks over the past few years. I'm Jim Coventry, and we are going to get rolling. Bill, you're going to tell us about the Philadelphia Eagles, the money line pick against the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, the Eagles are spearheading their push into the NFC playoffs as the defending Super Bowl champions loaded up their defense, and it showed against Green Bay on Monday night. That was a really nice win for them, and it showed that those moves they made at the trade deadline are going to pay dividends. They're going to pay dividends in this game against a Lions team that's going to be outdoors and most likely dealing with not only a hostile environment, but less than ideal weather conditions, given a night game in Philadelphia in November. So I don't think the Eagles are going to, be able to play one of their runaway and hide games here. I think Philly did what it needed to do at the trade deadline to make itself a contender to repeat in the Super Bowl. And I'm kind of all in on the Eagles from here on out.
Love that one. Adam, Houston Texans coming off a 19-point fourth quarter comeback victory against the Jaguars, laying 6.5 to Tennessee. What do you think?
Yeah, this is more about, Tennessee, got a nice break. They get to come back, but they're 1-8 and they have yet to lose a game by less than a touchdown. So Houston didn't know how to score early on this season. Texans beat them 26-0 early on in the season as well. And that was before they learned how to score. Since then, they've scored 26 plus in 4 of their last 6. I think the Titans have yet to allow fewer than 27 points in any home game. They are not marking their territory at home. Teams are coming in and doing what they want. To try to cover a spread of -6.5 for a Tennessee team that has yet to score as many touchdowns as their opponent in 14 straight games is very difficult. So I will take that 6.5 before it climbs.
Think they need their GM to spearhead an approach to get after increasing the talent on that roster. My last pick of the first round is going to be the Rams. I'm going -3 against Seattle. And here's what I want you to know. Often when we have these great defenses, which Seattle has, when we have a great offense against it, the defense is inconsequential. And I remember back in 2023, not that long ago, the Rams were playing a Mike McDonald defense, and the Ravens were only allowing 16 points a game. That's the year they went 13-4. They were the number 1 seed. We don't have to tell you what happened after that, of course. But that was that Mike McDonald defense firing on every cylinder. Matthew Stafford came in, threw for 294 and 3 touchdowns. Cooper Kupp went off. Puka Nacua had a good game. The tight end had 50 yards and a touchdown. Demarcus Robinson even scored. And this point, the Seattle defense is good. Not what that Ravens defense was. Stafford's playing at an all-time level for him. He has Adams, who's apparently is fine with the oblique. He's got Nacua cooking. I just do not see the offense getting slowed down by a defense. And Sam Darnold, remember, he faced this defense in the playoffs last year with the Vikings, and it was not pretty. They got pressure on him. He's the Sam Darnold we knew and love. You might not see the complete version of that, but give me the Rams -3. Gentlemen, any comments on that game?
I picked the other team.
All right, so there you go. Bill's going against it. I love it. We know, take the fists out and get after it. Let's go to round 2. Bill, you like the Jaguars, 2.5, getting 2.5 against the Chargers. Talk about that game.
We know they blew that 19-point lead last week. We're aware of that, which is another reason why we like them this week. Because this year we've seen a lot of mediocrity in college and pro football sort of just flip every week. So when in doubt, just flip what they did last week. No team in NFL history will travel more miles this year than the Los Angeles Chargers. 387, 806 miles. This is their 4th trip to the Eastern time zone. And that doesn't even count the trip to Brazil, which is an hour east of the Eastern time zone. And in the 3 previous trips to the East Coast, San Diego has failed to cover the line. Now, again, we acknowledge the Jags blew it the other day, but it's going to be 80 degrees and humid and a little bit yucky in Jacksonville on Sunday. The Chargers are going to be an early start. They're going to be in outdoor, not pleasant weather. And I just feel like Jacksonville is good enough here to pull off the sort of win that they did against the Chiefs earlier this year. And, or they came close to beating the Chiefs, I should say. Here, they're getting 2.5 points at home. And I just think that they win these sorts of games all the time against so-called favorites, whether they're indoor teams or teams coming from the West Coast that have that early start in not so pleasant football weather in Florida.
Adam, if you got anything to add about that game, go ahead. Otherwise, you're going to talk about the Cleveland Browns getting more than a touchdown against the Ravens.
Yeah, let's just jump right back on the Browns bandwagon. There's lots of room if anybody wants to join us, but here we go again. Another pick on the Cleveland Browns, but now they're getting, it's 7.5 now. It was 8.5 at home against the Ravens. This Brown team just lost to the hapless Jets. That should be a warning sign right there. What are we doing here? But another warning sign: Baltimore beat Cleveland 41-17 earlier this season, but Cleveland outgained them in that game. There was a lot of things that had to go wrong, especially for that offense to lose by that much and outgain the other team. Browns defense is still good in my books, especially at home, where they're going to get conditions. It's going to be kind of sloppy, potentially cold weather. They're only allowing 11 points per game at home, 3.5 yards per play at home. Lamar Jackson isn't running as much since he got back from his injury. I think that's good for Cleveland as well. The question is, can Cleveland score enough to cover? It's managed 20 and 31 points in 2 of its last 3 games. It didn't score 20 in any of its first 6 games. So I take that as a trend that at least they're going in the right direction to some extent. They might need 17 or 20 again here to cover, but I think they can do it.
I'm going to go with Cincinnati getting 5.5 at Pittsburgh. These teams played a few weeks ago. It was last possession wins. Cincinnati's coming off the bye. I just don't see Pittsburgh's defense stopping them. The offense is real simple. Get Flacco in the shotgun, and you basically get the ball out in less than 2 seconds. So that Steelers pass rush is not an issue. You can't get to him in 2 seconds. It's just not possible. And then he has Chase and Higgins. Good luck stopping them. And we know that Joey Porter at best will get some interference calls, which I don't care how you get the yards, you get the yards. Chase Brown, because the defense has to play those 2 receivers, has to back up. So Chase Brown's had over 100 scrimmage yards the last 2 games. He'll get the usual free yards that are there. And Pittsburgh's offense, yeah, they're playing the Bengals defense. I'll give them that. And they'll throw 74 passes to their 3 tight ends, and I get that. But at the end of the day, is Pittsburgh pulling away from anybody? And the answer is probably not. And Flacco can hang in a shootout. So 5.5 is a big, big number in my opinion. So I like those points. Gentlemen, anything on that game?
That makes a lot of sense. Like my head tells me, Steelers, Aaron Rodgers is eventually going to get it done. But we're in week 11 now, and it's still an offense that really doesn't generate much of anything. The pass defense for the Steelers is brutal when they can't get to the quarterback, like you said, and there's no better quarterback and wide receiver group than this against a defense such as this. So, yeah, I think the Bengals, if they don't win, they're going to keep up at least and put up some points.
Again, it's a big number for a divisional game. All right, last round. This one's easy. We all like Atlanta -3.5 against Carolina. And last week, we all liked Detroit -8 against Washington, and that one sailed home. Either we're going to regress or we're going to hit it big again, guys. Bill, start us off with the Atlanta game.
Well, the Falcons continue to master the agony of defeat. They've lost 4 straight. They lost to the Patriots because a missed extra point prevented the game going into overtime. In Germany, they were caught at the gun by the Colts, then lost in overtime. But they've covered 3 weeks in a row. And they are a team that that doesn't quite know how to win, but has been playing relatively well against decent teams. I mean, to think they almost beat the Patriots and Colts in back-to-back weeks. I think they're kind of on the verge. And the Panthers, took myself and a lot of people to the cleaners last week, coming off that big win against Green Bay, then laying an egg in New Orleans again, sort of just go against the previous week with a lot of these teams this year. But I think Atlanta is really, really close to a big breakout win here. And unfortunately, the Panthers are consistently inconsistent. The Falcons are consistently good. They're just not winning.
Adam, what you got in that game?
Yeah, I mean, Carolina's 1-4 of 6. You mentioned now the Falcons just can't figure out ways to win, but the last 4 games, Carolina hasn't scored more than 16 in any of them, and Atlanta can at least score. Carolina, I think the issue, for Carolina here is don't make Bryce Young beat you, because Atlanta is the number 1 pass defense in the NFL, fewest yards allowed. And I think the key for them is get a lead, Bijan Robinson, let him cook in the second half. And Carolina is a bad first half team. They've trailed in 7 of their 10 games at the first half by an average of over 12 points per game at half. So if Atlanta can do that, they can get off to a hot start, force Bryce Young to throw against that defense, let Bijan Robinson do his thing. They're going to win by 2 touchdowns.
All I'm going to add a couple quick things. Atlanta, their season's on the brink, probably over anyway, but at 3-6, they have to win this. They lost 30-0 at Carolina. You know that they're going to be ready for this rematch. There's no way they're taking them lightly after getting smoked by them last time. Atlanta is the better team of these two. They are playing at home. They have, again, the reason to get back at this divisional opponent. And I think, like Adam said, they probably do it by a bigger margin. Bill, closing thoughts for week 11.
Kansas City at Denver. We're going to see if this, if this era of the Mahomes mystique is going to hibernate or not. Chiefs are almost must win here to win the division. They'll be behind the Broncos by 3 games with a loss here. I know they play again on Christmas, but this game Sunday is a huge, huge game for wherever we think the Chiefs are this year.
Adam, what you got for the closing thought for week 11?
I'm starting to jump on some underdogs actually this week. I'm usually kind of a small favorites kind of a leaner, but I like the Browns, as I mentioned. I like Arizona getting +3. I like the Buccaneers getting points against Buffalo. I like the Bengals, a game that you really like as well. So I think we're starting to see, this look like a league of have and have nots, and it seems like it's kind of going back in the opposite direction now after favorites dominated for so long.
My closing thought is I am very concerned that A.J. Brown is going to turn the Philadelphia locker room into a disaster. He was on Twitch this week talking about if you have me in fantasy, don't roster me. There were more comments following. He is very unhappy with his role. It's happened in the past. We've seen it get patched over, but this has gone deeper and deeper. And this season has been mostly a lost season for Brown, other than a good game or two, but it's been bad for him. And if he seems like the kind of guy right now that if it's not going his way, he's going to keep letting people know. And I'm very worried that gets into the locker room, and that would not be good if it happens. This week, I couldn't even tell you for fantasy whether to play A.J. Brown or not. He could get you 3 points. He could get you 25, but I have no clue what's going to happen because that dynamic is a real issue real fast. All right, everybody. This has been the Bookies Plus Weekly Gambling Show. Make sure you bookmark bookies.com/picks. You can check out our free picks for all sports all year long. We will be back next week. Be profitable, everyone, in week 11.